Welcome to day 122 of the 300 movie challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of July 2004, which was I, Robot.
I
I did the
well,
pause because there's a comma in there.
Well, there's one small thing that I want to mention, just because I don't know if it'll be brought up at any point. But do you remember for God, what was it called? Wait, the hold on, I have to find out what that movie was called. Not this one. Oh, Minority Report, where Ryan, you mentioned how it was strange not seeing like the cityscape and everything change, even though it was the future. And then Valen pointed out that it was a good thing that not everything changed to reflect the future, because even now we still have buildings and stuff that are from like hundreds of years ago and stuff.
Yes.
So that was something that I found here that was a little bit strange, because I guess we're in 2018 right now, but the movie takes place just like maybe 20 years or so later.
wasn't it? I
And
think it was
it's
35.
like,
I don't remember, but yeah.
yeah, something like that. And it's just like, somehow I don't think things would have changed this quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah, like now after seeing like how Minority Report did it and then seeing this, I was like, this is a little bit optimistic.
Yeah.
at the same
It
time
is.
though, like it's kind of the similar thing with the Minority Report stuff though, where like it kind of seems like you have the old, the city, and then they just like slapped some extra stuff on top of it. You know what I mean? Because like so many
Yeah.
times for fiction, you'll see like, oh, future city, and like everything's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like
Glass houses, tubes instead of sidewalks.
yeah, so it's not like that. So, and honestly, like, I don't know, like, I do think it works better in Minority Report, and I guess, like, the time is a bit off for this, but I think I like it here, too. It is a little awkward, but I don't know, it,
Like it was a little bit more awkward here for some reason than it was in Minority Report.
I don't, did they say what the year was for Minority Report?
I don't remember if they
remember.
said what the
No.
year was, but
I'll look it up.
the thing that got me though was the fact that there were certain like the what do you call it? The I don't know if it had an official name in the thing. Were they trucks? I guess they were trucks. But the trucks that had the robots and then ended up like trapping him and everything.
Mhm.
That seemed a bit, I guess, in a society where there were robots and everything, it's not too strange to think that they could have completely made a new truck and stuff. But eh,
It's like, why not just use a normal truck, but, like, because
yeah.
like, for example, like, the self-driving cars, it's like, they still look like normal cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Minority Report apparently was 2054.
Oh,
It was further in the future.
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
So,
See, that I could understand a little bit better.
yeah,
Like maybe if they switched or something.
But, yeah. Yeah.
I will
But
say,
it has really nothing to do with probably what else we're talking about with the film.
well, actually, going off of that, like, honestly, I didn't expect this. The effects for 2004 are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually kind of surprised, because, like, the robots, I mean, okay, they don't look real, but, like, I don't know, the facial animation of them and like, just kind of
I
how they
feel
work.
like
I think
they
it
look
works
like
pretty
how
well.
they're supposed to look.
Yeah.
for
They
the time.
definitely look much better than whatever the production team for Hollow Man would have done.
Oh yeah.
They don't look like PS2 graphics.
Oh my god, no.
But yeah, so that's actually pretty good. And see, the thing with me is that I've read the iRobot book, and also I was looking this up right after watching the movie. Apparently, there's actually like 4 books afterwards, and I've only read 3, so I haven't read the last one. But
Oh.
and was giving myself like a plot refresher of them because I read them a long time ago. But the iRobot book is basically, it's a short story collection that kind of catalogs like the development of robots over a period of, I don't know, several decades. So you kind of see like how they like kind of change and like get smarter and are used in different situations. And the last story does involve like robotic systems kind of like controlling large global scale like elements of human civilization. Now the books after that are all set like 1,000 years in the future and follow like a specific set of characters through like a plot basically.
Oh.
So they're kind of disconnected in that sense. It's kind of like the iRobot book is like the background lore of like the other books.
Oh, okay.
So this movie, and we were looking this up, was originally like had nothing to do with iRobot at all, and it said it was like some murder mystery that was focused. Wait, when you were reading it, Tara, did it mention like did it even have like robots in it at all, or was it just like the scientist guy?
It did have robots. I think how they put it is that it was going to take place in only one location. It was going to... Remember the first scene where he found the scientist on the floor and everything?
Yeah.
So that was basically the inciting incident. And then he was trying to figure out how the guy got murdered and stuff. So he was going to basically interrogate all the robots in the guy's laboratory. But it wasn't supposed to exit the laboratory, nor was it supposed to go into this whole thing with the robots and everything.
So it's kind of more like a one-act play.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that could have been interesting. Like, again, it's like working with limitations.
Yeah.
One-act plays are really interesting to just like see how they work and how much you can actually fit into those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spooner was also, like, the name Spooner, the character... That was also from that original script too.
Yeah, same with the character of the guy who died. The guy who died anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I will, because in terms of actual connections to the like iRobot stuff, the female scientist, like in terms of her name, she's from like the book, but like she doesn't really have anything to do with the person and character. And then there's the whole 3 laws of robotics thing. That's like the whole basis of, the iRobot book. So if you just kind of like separate yourself from that and think like, okay, this is something completely different than the actual iRobot book, then like, I don't really have a problem with it. Like, because some people, and I know this is, I'm going to really go on this for a different movie we're going to be seeing quite a bit later. But some people really have a hard time, like, disassociating kind of, like, quote-unquote interpretations of source material. And I get that, like, this wasn't really an interpretation of source material. It was kind of like we need a name. Shit, So, but it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh my god, you ruined the thing. And it's like, well, no, that thing still exists. This is another thing, right? You know? So
they just share a name.
Yeah, and like really, that's like almost all they share is a name and like a robot theming. That's it. Like the stories are completely different. Even the narrative structure is completely different. Like it's just different. The characters are different. There's like basically no plot similarities. Like, well, there's one very vague one, but they kind of mess it up in the movie. I'll go into that later. I kind of don't want to spoil it, not so much just for this movie, but also because of the books. But I'll mention when I'm gonna say that. Honestly, like the actual like murder mystery part of it, like the plot for like the first like 2/3 of the movie is actually pretty interesting.
It is,
yeah.
Because like,
which I think was from the original idea of it too.
Yeah,
because you legitimately like don't really know what's gonna happen and like who is in what position, and you're actually trying to figure out what's going on, and I think that's pretty interesting.
I thought the action scenes were also done pretty well for this movie with like a lot of, I don't know, are the robots CGI or are they animatronics?
I'm sure they're CGI. I mean, there's probably a few moments where they're animatronics, like some close-up shots, but I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be CGI.
Okay. They were pretty good still,
Yeah,
I will say.
but I think the effects are good. Even though like there is some issues with like design of like the locations and stuff. Personally, I don't really have a problem with it.
Hmm.
And yeah, the plot for most of the movie is pretty interesting. I
Yeah.
have two problems.
Hmm.
Will
You
Smith.
mean when the sudden change when all the robots basically
Yeah, well,
turned
I'll
on the
get to the
populace?
second half, the last third of the plot for a second. But the other
Hmm.
thing that bothered me was just Will Smith's character bothered me.
He didn't seem like his normal self, kind
Yeah,
of.
he's
No, it,
supposed to be happy.
it kind of did. And like, you know what I mean? It's like he tried to do it, but like they didn't let him like go all the way. So it's like he's
Yeah.
not like, you know, his character in Men in Black, right? But
No.
but he's like trying to, so it just comes off as like awkward.
He's like
Yeah.
trying not to be typecast, but he's still acting like his typecast, I guess.
Yeah,
in a way.
that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, and it's like it just doesn't fit the tone, because the tone on this whole movie is like pretty serious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's some like random jokes dropped and stuff, and they seem very awkwardly placed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if nothing else, the weirdest part about this movie was just a lot of the dialogue was a bit off
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
between, especially with Will Smith, because it's Will Smith and this is kind of against his typecast. And I thought the woman was a bit stiff.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
She
I honestly
More
thought the plot
robotic
twist-
somehow.
Yeah, I was gonna say the plot twist was like maybe she's actually the robot.
but
She emotes less than the robot that is like the special robot.
yeah, I mean, like I get that, like that's like the point of her character. She's supposed to be like that, but it's like it's not very interesting. So
No.
yeah, she's kind of irrelevant. So yeah, and then okay, so then the whole climax of this movie. So this is, I guess, spoilers for the movie, and I'm gonna go into spoilers for the book as well. So
Spoiler alert.
yeah. So the whole twist is that Will Smith is right and the robots like can't be trusted, and basically the third law was like, or the three laws were like kind of violated, but it was basically twisted in a way to be, oh, we're protecting humanity, not humans, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
With the idea of like, oh, so we have to protect humanity to like by destroying it, which is like honestly that's like a really overplayed trope that's like kind of annoying for a woman.
Yeah.
But even ignoring that, like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems to kind of come out of nowhere, and it's like,
It
it's this
does.
focus on, oh, you know, the whole mystery is about how did this guy die and what's up with that, and like that was interesting. And then all of a sudden, it seems to very, very quickly, once he goes to like where the bridge was, I don't remember even what that place was supposed to be. Once he goes there, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, and the robot's taking over. Like, what? Like that came out of nowhere. Like it's just it's so quick, and then the what was I gonna say? The whole okay. So this is just a spoiler for the book. The last short story for the book actually kind of goes into this.
Okay.
It's the idea of that the first law has been kind of reinterpreted to be benefit of humanity, but it's not. So therefore, we're going to kill humans. That's not like the actual next step. It's more of like an economic issue, so that like the robots actually purposely like mess up certain industries because they know that like that industry will like damage humanity in the long run. So it's not like actually we're going to kill you. So it's actually an interesting like societal structure where it's like, do we structure society, right? Not like individual freedoms or anything, but just like how society is run. How do we do that based on like logic and in a way of like, you know, humanity? So think of it in the sense of like, you know, do we well the analogy I guess for now would be like we stop coal because like it's hurting the environment, right? So it's kind of like
Right.
that, and it's like how far do you go with that? So that's actually kind of an interesting like societal and environmental and economic kind of thing to look at, where this just kind of like bastardizes it by being like, oh yeah, you're like mean and stuff, so we're gonna kill half of you. Like,
Yeah, please.
why you made something that you took like something that you actually took from the book, you made way worse. So
Yeah.
that was just kind of, okay. So
I feel like that would have been way more interesting.
Yeah, it's its own like separate movie, just like, oh yeah, let's destroy certain industries because they're like hurting the environment and they're hurting people, and then let's like, I guess, rise up these other industries that are more beneficial.
yeah, and again, I might not be 100% on that because again, I read these several years ago and I just kind of looked at a brief summary, but I think that's the main. So again, it's like, I don't know, I think overall, I'd say this is net positive, but it's very close to 50-50.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It's I think kind of just as like an action movie, just to kind of watch with. At least you're engaged for like the first 2/3 of it.
Yeah,
I think that's fine. Like it's not I don't think anyone watching this is good, especially if you know that it's like not like faithful to the books. I think you know that it's not going to be like great. So
yeah,
I don't think you were going to be disappointed, but you're definitely not going to be like surprised that it was good.
yeah.
So it's
Or
about
impressed with any of the characters.
yeah. I mean, like it's about what I would say it's about what I expected, but at the same time, like I'd say that first 2/3 was better than I expected, but the last third was worse than I expected.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it balances out to be about what I expected. So it's okay. There's no real reason to
Yeah,
see it
it's-
though. So
Overall, fine.
Yeah.
You can take it
It
or
was
leave
fine.
it. Take it or leave it. It's up to you.
yeah, I mean, well, considering some of the movies we've seen, not super recently, but like,
You mean 2003?
well, yeah, like
We
it's
don't
much
speak
better
of
than
that
that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
and better than some things we're going to see.
Uh,
Um,
Don't remind me.
yeah, so that's yeah. Is there anything else to say? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I guess, would you recommend that people read the book?
Yeah. It's not very long, so I know that. It's a collection of, I think, like 8 or so short stories. And if you're interested in the kind of environment it builds, the other, like, novels that are after that actually follow characters, again, I don't remember them really at all. But I remember liking them well enough. Stories were interesting enough. Again, it still kind of works with this whole laws of robotics, but there's actually... It's, a story with characters, and there's... The whole... Okay, the premise of these books is it's like 1,000 years in the future, and humans have colonized other planets. So...
Oh.
But those humans, like, on those other planets, like, are, like, socially, politically, and, like... even a little bit biologically, I think, like, now different from, like, Earth humans.
Oh.
So it gets into some, like, conflicts between that and, like, also with the robot stuff thrown into it. So it's kind of, like, I know people who like these books and also what I'm about to say, the thing I'm about to compare it to, will completely disagree with me. But it's, like, it's Star Wars-y in the way that it's, like, created this kind of society where it's, this... in that kind of, like, world sense, right? About, like, this future world with, like, its own kind of conflicts, but it kind of builds up this world that you're into. So, but I will say that those other books are pretty long. So, yeah. And again, it's just, like, the iRobot book is more so, like, a base foundation in terms of, like, this super base lore that launches eventually into this other stuff. So... Even if you like the iRobot stuff, you might not like the others, but I don't know. The iRobot thing definitely is, because again, it's pretty short, so it's something to check out. Is fine. The other stuff might be a little bit harder to get into, but I'd recommend it. Now that I know that there's apparently was a book after the ones that I did read, now I'm kind of curious to look into that as well. They all are all written by Isaac Asimov, who wrote like a bunch of stuff that's pretty famous. the two things I know of most was the Foundation books, which I know I read at least some of them, but I need to like check if I read all of them. I don't remember. I know those were also like science fiction, like space kind of stories, but I think they like start on Earth. I don't know. Yeah. So stuff to get interested if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, as for this movie, it's if for some reason you are in a situation where you are watching it, you won't hate it, but like you have no reason to put yourself in that situation. So
I guess that's one way to put it.
yeah.
I guess on that note.
On that glowing endorsement. Next movie is something that like none of us really know anything about, but it's
Yeah, what is it?
it's rated pretty well, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. No idea. I could see it being based on the, like the one sentence synopsis I read. It could be actually kind of interesting, or it could be just
Pretentious and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.